triskaidekaphobia, pronunciation, triskaidekaphobia, triskaidekaphobia or triskaidekaphobia, from Greek tris meaning three, kai meaning and, deka meaning 10 and phobos meaning fear or morbid fear, is fear or avoidance of the number 13. It is also a reason for the fear of Friday the 13th, called triskaidekaphobia, from paraskivi, Greek for Friday or triskaidekaphobia, after Frigg, the Norse goddess after whom Friday is named in English. The term was used as early as in 1910 by Isidor Coriat in Abnormal Psychology. 1. Origins Judas theory from the 1890s. A number of English language sources relate the unlucky 13 to an idea that at the Last Supper, Judas, the disciple who betrayed Jesus, was the 13th to sit at the table. 2. The Bible says nothing about the order in which the apostles sat, but there were 13 people at the table. Also, the number 13 is not uniformly that in the Judeo-Christian tradition. For example, the attributes of God, also called the 13 attributes of mercy, are enumerated in the Torah, Exodus 34, 6-7. Hammurabi theory. There is a myth that the earliest reference to 13 being unlucky or evil is in the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, circa 1780 BCE, where the 13th law is said to be omitted. In fact, the original Code of Hammurabi has no numeration. The translation by L.W. King, 1910, edited by Richard Hooker, omitted one article. If the seller hath gone to his fate, i.e., hath died, the purchaser shall recover damages in said case fivefold from the estate of the seller. Other translations of the Code of Hammurabi, for example the translation by Robert Francis Harper, include the 13th article. 3. Other theories. Edit. Triskaidekaphobia may have also affected the Vikings. It is believed that Loki was the 13th god in the Norse pantheon. More specifically, Loki was believed to have engineered the murder of Balder and was the 13th guest to arrive at the funeral. 4. This is perhaps related to the superstition that if 13 people gather, one of them will die in the following year. However, the oldest source of this myth, La Casena, has far more than 13 guests. 17 of the guests are mentioned by name, so this example should not be taken too seriously. 5. Another Norse tradition involves the myth of Nornagast, when the uninvited Norns showed up at his birthday celebration, thus increasing the number of guests from 10 to 13. They cursed the infant by magically binding his lifespan to that of a mystic candle they presented to him. Citation needed. Events related to unlucky 13. Apollo 13 was launched on April 11, 1970 at 13 hours, 13 minutes, and 0 seconds CST and suffered an oxygen tank explosion on April 13 at 21 hours, 7 minutes, and 53 seconds CST. It returned safely to Earth on April 17, 6, 7, on Friday, October 13, 1307. The arrest of the Knights Templar was ordered by Philip IV of France. While the number 13 was considered unlucky, Friday the 13th was not considered unlucky at the time. The incorrect idea that their arrest was related to the phobia surrounding Friday the 13th was invented early in the 21st century and popularized by the novel The Da Vinci Code. In 1881, an influential group of New Yorkers led by U.S. Civil War veteran Captain William Fowler came together to put an end to this and other superstitions. They formed a dinner cabaret club, which they called the 13 Club. At the first meeting, on Friday, January 13, 1881, at 8:13 p.m., 13 people sat down to dine in room 13 of the venue. The guests walked under a ladder to enter the room and were seated among piles of spilled salt. Many 13 clubs sprang up all over North America over the next 40 years. Their activities were regularly reported in leading newspapers, and their numbers included 5 future U.S. presidents, from Chester A. Arthur to Theodore Roosevelt. 13 clubs had various imitators, but they all gradually faded from interest. 9. Vehicle registration plates in the Republic of Ireland are such that the first 2 digits represent the year of registration of the vehicle. That is, 11 is a 2011 registered car, 12 is 2012, and so on. In 2012, there were concerns among members of the Society of the Irish Motor Industry, SIMI, that the prospect of having 13 registered vehicles might discourage motorists from buying new cars because of superstition surrounding the number 13, and that car sales in the motor industry, which was already ailing, would suffer as a result. The government, in consultation with SIMI, introduced a system whereby 2013 registered vehicles would have their registration plates H identifier string modified to read read 131 for vehicles registered in the first 6 months of 2013 and 132 for those registered in the latter 6 months of the year. 10. The main reason for this was stated to be to increase the number of car sales in the second half of the year. Even though 70% of new cars are bought during the first 4 months of the year, some consumers believe that the calendar year of registration does not accurately reflect the real age of a new car, since cars bought in January will most likely have been manufactured the previous year, while those bought later in the year will be actually made in the same year. 11. This system continued after 2013, with vehicles registered in the first half of 2014 labeled 141 rather than 14. Similar phobias number 666. Hexacosia, hexaconchahexaphobia or 616. See number of the beast. Tetraphobia, fear of the number 4. In China, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Korea and Vietnam, as well as in some other East Asian and Southeast Asian countries. It is not uncommon for buildings, including offices, apartments, hotels, to lack floors with numbers that include the digit 4, and Finnish mobile phone manufacturer Nokia's 1XXX9XXX series of mobile phones does not include any model numbers beginning with the 4. This originates from Mandarin Chinese, in which the pronunciation of the word for 4, sa, is very similar to that of the word for death, s, and remains so in the other countries. Sinozenic vocabulary 17 is an unlucky number in Italy. Perhaps because in Roman numeral 17 is written as vi, which can be rearranged to vixi, which in Latin means I have lived but can be a euphemism for I am dead. In Italy, some planes have no row 17 and some hotels have no room 17. 12. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of Friday the 13th, which is considered to be a day of bad luck in a number of Western cultures. In Romania, Greece and some areas of Spain and Latin America, Tuesday the 13th is similarly considered unlucky. 13. Curse of 39, a belief in some parts of Afghanistan that the number 39, thrice 13, is cursed or a badge of shame. Lucky 13 in some regions. 13 is considered a lucky number. For example, 13 is lucky in Italy except in some contexts, such as sitting at the dinner table. 14. Colgate University was started by 13 men with $13 and 13 craters, so 13 is considered a lucky number. Friday the 13th is the luckiest day at Colgate. 15. Several Venezuelan sports vehicles have chosen 13 as squad number, most notably Dave Concepcion, Omar Vizquel, Oswaldo Guillén and Pastor Maldonado. Triskaidekaphobia is its antonym, and has been described as love of the number 13. 16. Effect on U.S. shuttle program mission. Naming STS-41G was the name of the 13th space shuttle flight. 20. However, originally STS-41C was the mission originally numbered STS-13. 21. 22. STS-41C was the 11th orbital flight of the Space Shuttle program. 23. The numbering system of the Space Shuttle was changed a new one after STS-9. 24. The new naming scheme started with STS-41B. The previous mission was STS-9, and the 13th mission, what would have been STS-13, would be STS-41C. 24. The new scheme had first number stand for the U.S. fiscal year, the next number was a launch site, 1 or 2, and the next was the number of the mission numbered with a letter for that period. 24. In the case of the actual 13th flight, the crew was apparently not superstitious and made a humorous mission patch that had a black cat on it. 24. Also, that mission re-entered and landed on Friday the 13th, which one crew described as being pretty cool. 24. Because of the way the designations and launch manifest work, the mission numbered STS-13 might not have actually been the 13th to launch as was common throughout the shuttle program. Indeed, it turned out to be the 11th. 25. 26. One of the reasons for this was when a launch had to be scrubbed, which delayed launch. 27. Some have suggested the system was created solely to avoid then NASA Administrator James Beck's triskaidekaphobia, or fear of the number 13. As former astronaut Paul Weitz recalled, he didn't like the number 13, so he didn't ever want any mission numbered 13. So we went through this system. This explanation behind the designation change was so widespread that the astronauts who flew on STS-41C, what would have been STS-13, created their own black cat mission patch. Former crew member James Ox Van Hoften recalls, we flew around with our STS-13 patch on, and that was a lot of fun. We ended up landing on Friday the 13th. so that was pretty cool. While this is an appealing story, especially given the unlucky events on Apollo 13, it is not the full story. NASA, 28. However, NASA said in a 2016 news article it was also for a much higher frequency of launches that was planned at that time pre-Challenger disaster. 24. As it was, the shuttle program did have a disaster on its 113th mission going by date of launch, which was STS-107. 29. The actual mission STS-113 was successful, and had actually launched earlier to do the nature of the launch manifest. 30. At first glance, it may seem surprising that an agency whose focus lies in science and technology should devote such an emphasis to an ancient superstition. But for one thing, the unlucky voyage of Apollo 13, tragedy and triumph in orbit, the 80s and early 90s by Ben Evans. 31.